Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese. Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese.
Hi everyone, welcome to Chinese Pod. This is Fiona.
And my name's Gwilym.
And today we're going to be showing you newbies how to ask someone what kind of film they like, what kind of movie they like.
Yeah, so if you're inviting someone over for a date, or maybe you want to go to the cinema, you want to find out what kind of movie genres they like.
Exactly. So today we're going to be showing you some popular movie genres. And maybe let's start with probably my favorite. And I would say my favorite type of film is science fiction. So that is 科幻片. 科幻片.
Okay, so sci-fi movie is 科幻片.
We also talk about other types of films in today's dialogue, so let's check it out. 对话第一遍。
你喜欢看爱情片吗？
不，我喜欢看科幻片。
那动作片呢？
我也喜欢动作片。第二遍。
你喜欢看爱情片吗？
不，我喜欢看科幻片。
那动作片呢？
我也喜欢动作片。第三遍。
你喜欢看爱情片吗？
不，我喜欢看科幻片。
那动作片呢？
我也喜欢动作片。Now that we've listened to the dialogue, let's move on to the translations, and we'll start with the first line. 你喜欢看爱情片吗？
Do you like watching romantic movies?
你喜欢看爱情片吗？
Do you like watching romantic films?
你喜欢看爱情片吗？不，我喜欢看科幻片。
No, I like science fiction movies.
不，我喜欢看科幻片。
No, I like sci-fi films.
不，我喜欢看科幻片。那动作片呢？
Then what about action films?
那动作片呢？
Then how about action movies?
那动作片呢？我也喜欢动作片。
I like action films too.
我也喜欢动作片。
I also like action movies.
我也喜欢动作片。Alright, now that we've done the translations, let's start with a discussion, and we'll start with the first line, which is 你喜欢看爱情片吗？
Okay, so she is asking, do you like watching romantic films? So first of all, romantic movies, what is that?
Romantic movies is 爱情片。爱情片。
Okay, so the first character is 爱, which is the character for love. A-I, fourth tone. And then together, 爱情 is kind of what?
Romance, love, kind of anything that has to do with the emotion of love, right? So 爱情 is love, and 片, fourth tone, P-I-A-N, is film in this case.
Okay, so I think the origins of the character come from when movies were shot on kind of film strips, right?
So 片 sometimes you'll often see as a measure word as well for thin things, right? So movies used to be shot on movie reels. So that's why we've kind of used this measure word and made it into a noun here. So in this case, 爱情片 is a romantic film or a romantic movie.
Okay, and she is asking, do you like watching? So how do we say, do you like watching?
Well, let's start with the verb watch, right? Or to see something, and that is 看. 看.
Okay, so Chinese makes it a lot more easy. In English, we have the verb watch, see, look, all of these kind of things. But in Chinese, it's just
看. 看.
Okay, and if you're asking, do you like watching? What is that?
So let's learn the word for like, and that is 喜欢. 喜欢.
So that's a XI third tone, HUAN neutral tone. So let's hear it again.
喜欢. 喜欢. So let's build what we've learned together so far. So like is 喜欢, 看 is to see or watch. 喜欢看爱情片.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Chinese Pod Trivia. Our first question is, how long will it take you to become an intermediate Chinese speaker using the Chinese Pod app? Is it A, the rest of your life? B, you should already be an intermediate speaker? C, 3 months? Or D, Chinese Pod has an app?
You should already be in.
Ooh, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, 3 months. That's right. Head over to ChinesePod.com now to register for your access to over 4,000 lessons. Get the Chinese Pod app now on Google Play or the App Store.
Now let's make this a question. So we need a you at the front, right? So that is 你喜欢看爱情片. And to make a question in Mandarin, we add a question particle. In this case, it's a ma. Ma is also always used for yes-no questions, right? So let's put this all together. 你喜欢看爱情片吗? Do you like to watch romantic films? And since it's a yes-no question, we hear 不, which is?
No.
So she says, no, I like science fiction films, right? So we see the 我喜欢看. Once more, right? So 我喜欢看 is I like to watch. And here we see science fiction, my favorite, right? 科幻片.
Okay, so we see this 片 again, which we know is film. And how about this 科幻?
科幻, just like in English, how we abbreviated science fiction into sci-fi, right? We've done the same in Mandarin. So the original 4 characters is 科学幻想, which is science fiction. So 科幻片 is like the abbreviation like sci-fi, right? So I like sci-fi films. 我喜欢看科幻片.
Okay, after hearing this, she's kind of like, okay, then what do you think about action movies?
Yeah, so maybe she's not so into sci-fi, so she asks, well, how about action films? Na. In this case is then or well, right, then.
Yeah, so this word's kind of used when you are having a bit of time to think.
So, 那动作片.
Okay, another 片, so we know it's a film of some sort. In this case, a movement film.
Exactly. So 动作is your movement, right? So movement film is action film. So 动作片.
Okay, so like in English, action can be both a verb and a noun. In this case, it's a noun, so action movie.
So at the beginning of the dialogue, we saw ma, which is a particle for a yes-no question, right? And here we see ne, N-E, right? Ne.
Okay, how is ne, which is neutral tone, right? Different from ma?
So ma is for yes-no questions. Ne is for kind of things that you don't really know the answer to. Or here in this case, right, she's making a suggestion, right? She doesn't really know if she likes action films, but she wants to make this suggestion. So she says, 那动作片呢?
Right. Now we found something that they both agree on. She likes watching action movies.
She also likes this, right? So she says, 我也 is also in Mandarin.
Okay, so this yeah can be also or too. Like, I like watching movies too. I also like watching movies too. But unlike English, it always goes in front of the verb, right?
Right, and in today's case, that is the verb to like. Do you guys remember? That was 喜欢. So here she says, I also like action films. So 我也喜欢动作片. 我也喜欢动作片.
Okay, so be careful. Don't say 我喜欢动作片, yeah.
That's right. So you always put 也 in front of the verb. Now, just a quick note on pronunciation. 片 is P-I-A-N 4th tone. But you'll also hear people use like a neutral tone if they add an at the end, right? So maybe they'll say 动作片. So you'll hear both pronunciations depending on where you are, right? But both are okay. So 片, 4th tone, or 偏, a neutral tone, but usually accompanied with an 话, right? So 动作片, right? 科幻片.
Talking about pronunciation, I always struggled with a lot of third tones in a row. So in this case, it's So in this case, it's 我, which is third tone, 也, which is third tone, and then 喜欢, which is third tone, neutral tone. How would you recommend our listeners kind of pronounce this?
Okay, so it's a good question, Gwilym. When you see a lot of third tones in a row, which you might in Mandarin, right? My advice is usually to read all the first ones as second tone and then only read the final third tone as a third tone. So let me read it. Let me show you how unnatural it might sound if you're pronouncing all the third tones. So this is the unnatural one, guys. 我也喜欢动作片. Right? Did you see that I had to pause a lot in my third tones, right? But native speakers, when they're speaking at a natural pace, they're not going to slow down. So that's why it turns into second tone. So follow along with me this time. So 我也喜欢, 我也喜欢.
Okay, so that sounds like a second tone, and then this third tone, which just kind of goes down.
Yeah, so
我也喜欢.
yeah, that's right. So 我也喜欢. So up, up, dip. 我也喜欢.
Okay, so this is a good general rule,
Yeah,
right?
so-
If there's lots of third tones, you can kind of turn them into second tones.
Yeah, unless you're placing emphasis on the fact that it's like yours, right? So if you're saying it's mine, in which case you might want to pronounce the whole third tone, like 我也喜欢, right? But most of the time, if there's loads of third tones, the third tones at the beginning all turn into second tones, generally speaking.
Okay.
All right. Well, now that we've discussed the dialogue, let's listen to the dialogue 3 more times.
Okay.
对话第一遍。
你喜欢看爱情片吗？
不，我喜欢看科幻片。
那动作片呢？
我也喜欢动作片。第二遍。
你喜欢看爱情片吗？
不，我喜欢看科幻片。
那动作片呢？
我也喜欢动作片。第三遍。
你喜欢看爱情片吗？
不，我喜欢看科幻片。
那动作片呢？
我也喜欢动作片。
Right, all this talk about movie genres. A movie that you've watched recently that you enjoyed?
Well, like I said, my favorite genre is 科幻片. 科幻片. I guess notably the things that I've watched recently, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ender's Game, all have been pretty good. I'm not really into romantic films. 爱情片. I feel like it's much better value for money if you go to the cinema to see 动作片 or 科幻片. Anything else you can just stay at home and watch.
Yeah, you don't need a romantic in 3D.
All this chat of films makes me really want to go to the cinema now. Well, we hope you found today's lesson useful. Now you can go out and ask your friend or maybe someone that you want to go on a date with what kind of films they want to watch and then arrange a cinema date.
Great, well, I hope you enjoyed the lesson and we'll see you next time. 再见.
再见.
As usual, ChinesePod provides an extensive selection of learning materials for this lesson on its website, www.chinesepod.com. You can access this lesson directly with the lesson number
2639.
So just go to www.chinesepod.com/2639 and you will find a transcript, vocabulary, and much more. The link again, www.chinesepod.com/2639.